we celebrate the 43-year reign of the Speed Metal Kings, Metallica. 9 Grammy Awards and 14 nominations, 38 concert tours worldwide, and 11 studio albums that span 4 decades, the Titans of Thrash remain the standard by which all other metal is measured. We begin with a 1984 classic from their second album, For Whom the Bell Tolls, followed by the 1992 tour anthem, Wherever I May Roam. And then, let's turn down the house and light up the stage for the Auburn University Marching Band and their show, Metallica.
Sunday night is back once again, and that means it's time for another The Auburn Experience podcast live recording, episode 136, heading your way. As always, 2 major topics in the Auburn Experience space, as well as catching you up on as much of the Auburn news as we can. All that's coming your way right now. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and Auburn family stuff. The easiest way to say it, though, is if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us in what we're going to be doing during this live recording and this podcast episode. For those of you catching the replay, episode 136, a lot to discuss. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, and seat number 2, the most important chair, Mr. Austin Scott, back. And I can already tell there's a little glint in his eye because I'm getting ahead of myself, but he's got some new merch that he wants to show off tonight on the show. He's just itching to do it. I can already tell.
Well, everybody's excited about their new merch, it sounds like. And everybody, look, I'm speaking for Kyle here. I was somebody really excited about Nike, but now everybody's got all this Under Armour and they're just ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I might have some extra things as well. We might need to get into it a little bit. This is what, let me just say this for all of you audio people out there. You are the heartbeat of what we do as a podcast. That's what podcasts are. So don't feel that you are any less if you're listening to this. But this is one of those times where it's really cool if you can watch the live stream of it, because at the end of the show, we are going to be doing some show and tell stuff. It's going to be a fun one, folks. As always.
We're going to describe them the best we can, though.
Yeah, this is a good way for us to test our skills as orators of painting the picture of this is our audition for us and Andy. Like if we want to one day help Andy Burcham out on the show, we wish.
Yeah, something tells me we're not on the first, second, or third page of that list.
I would imagine you're further into the page, like you're closer up. So. No, you actually have experience over there in that kind of space and some connections that I don't have. So I'm just I have met Andy, wonderful person. I mean, yes, we met in person and interviewed him. Outstanding as the voice of the Auburn Tigers and as a person, but I think you probably still have a little bit more pull than I ever will. All right, look, let's get this going, this episode, and open it up here. I got to tell you, Austin, it's no shock for those of you that follow our content that I was on campus this weekend for something that we're going to be talking about, a variety of things, actually. It was just a little bit of a little kiss, a little whiff of what it's going to be like when fall it's still going to be summer technically, but fall is supposed to be starting. I know students haven't technically arrived yet. They're almost there. Summer's starting to head into, all these little pre-semester start things are happening. So it was nice to be there, but I gotta say this, it was kind of bittersweet because even though I had no connection, I think I'd probably been in this hall one time. I went and saw Spidal Hall for the last time. And it's about to be torn down, man. Like it was just kind of, I've walked past that hall so many times. If those of you don't know where Spidal Hall is, it's if you're walking down the concourse in a sense right there, towards the sciences area, that building you always pass. It's kind of old looking right past the library and stuff.
Next to Mel. Yeah.
Next to Mel. Thank you. I should have given that That's there.
Okay.
That's the one you always pass and forget about. It's about to be gone, and it's about to be a brand new facility for human sciences. We've covered that. Austin, it was kind of sad, actually. I thought I would have more time. I called the university the human sciences division or department and asked, hey, any chance it's going to be open on Saturday still? And they said, well, you called on the worst possible day. We're literally moving out as we speak this day. And so there was no way I could come in and get pictures or photos for all of you. I did get outside pictures we'll share, but I would imagine it's going to be changing. And that's my addition to that. There's a lot of things on campus right now that are kind of about to be in flux yet again. We got done with baseball. We got done with football. That human sciences is coming down. That dorm is trying to get finished up. And then this whole Melton Student Center patio area is just, there's a lot popping off on campus for the start of a semester. I just feel like.
I will never forget when I took my tour of Auburn, that there was a tour guide we had, and I wish I knew their name. I wish I could remember who they were as a high school senior, but they said, as students, sometimes we joke, welcome to construction. Don't mind the Auburn. Because there is something always happening. And it's no different this summer. Obviously there's the big projects we covered in detail, the construction report and facilities update there a few weeks ago. And so, there's always stuff happening, and there's been stuff since then. Like you said, the Student Center, Melton Student Center kind of extension and dining area, they're going to put a daggum giant video board out there for if you want to watch highlights of Auburn's latest win out there, I guess. But just crazy kind of stuff. It's really funny. You mentioned that you were trying to go in Spidle, a building leaving campus or that's going to be completely changed. Actually, my wife and I, Emily, and our boys, we decided to take them around campus. We went through Shelby Center and engineering, let them run around, see things. Went through Louder because we said, we have a lot of experience here. This is the place we took a lot of our classes. We'll show the boys our old stomping grounds. It didn't look a thing like I remember it. There's been so many changes. I actually got a chance to go and see the new education building this week too, and just all sorts of changes all over campus. Lots of good changes. I know there's a lot of, I for the first time, Kyle, I felt like my dad, and I felt like, oh, well, this wasn't here when I was here. And it's like, but that was my initial reaction. It was like, this Auburn changes by the minute if you don't think about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, not even year, every few months, it feels like I become more and more, or our fathers in a sense, or our mothers, and they're saying, man, back in my day, this street used to be open. You used to drive your car right by Jordan-Hare Stadium. And actually, I do remember those days, not while I was a student, but I remember those times.
My freshman year, speaking of Mel and Spidle, that they changed that road to walkway when they built Mel. I remember driving on that very regularly.
As much as I love the kinetic energy that brought, it was much needed in terms of campus safety and things like that. You hate that that's kind of gone in a sense, but it certainly has created more of that closed in and the protected space, I guess you'd say, within the campus. It's made parking and driving through it a little bit more challenging, but hey.
Sure.
What isn't these days when it comes to parking and stuff in Jordan-Hare? Well, I'm sure we're going to be getting updates on that. I feel like every year they take away parking for game day or make it paid. And I'm just expecting my new solution that I found last year, which I'm just thrilled about, is going to be taken away from me. I'm just dreading that, Austin.
That's still your plan, though? We're not giving anything away, but that's still your plan.
Oh, no.
You still got your plan for this year?
If that
as of now,
if that is available, it still require me to get there really early. But even still, that was just, when I discovered that about 2 games into the 5-game home stretch, let's not even go there again. I was like, how have I not been doing this the entire year? The drawback is that when we win, which didn't happen a lot last year, it's a long haul from Toomer's Corner, but it was well worth it for those very sad exits from the stadium last year, which were unfortunately too much. Anyway, we're not going to turn into one of these negative podcasts.
Not this year. Not this year.
No one in particular I'm calling out. I always feel like I have to preface everything these days. So we clip something, be like, they were talking about you. No. Anyway, okay. All right. We got lots to talk about today, as always. Let's jump into Auburn potpourri and get you caught up on some of the latest Auburn news. This is probably the biggest news story of the week outside of football practice, which we will discuss in a little bit, and a few other things too. But I think this one is kind of the most all-encompassing and affects everything of athletics and the university as well. You know what War Eagle Plus is. You know that it's something that you can as you can for most companies and things these days, have a streaming platform to get content. And most of that is video based. I believe there's always some audio components with that as well. And they've been doing a great job with that over the last, 2 years now? Is it 2 years? This has been around.
That sounds about right.
So War Eagle Plus has been around, but they've just announced some changes. And it's no shock and no coincidence that this comes on the heels of all of the litigation that's been going through Congress, executive orders, and figuring out this whole NIL platform, and with Playfly being now part, expanding their operation with Auburn. There's so many things that go into this. In fact, Austin, I'll just tell you this as a quick aside. I keep getting asked by a lot of our viewers and such, what do you think about this, about NIL? What do you think? How do you think? I'm like, guys, it changes every day. I'm trying not to form an opinion right now because it literally changes every day. And so I can form an opinion about it, but it'll have to change the next day. Anyway, what are the changes for War Eagle Plus? I'm going to pull it over here on my screen so I can see it a little bit better. Basically, here's the first thing you need to know. If you just have the basic War Eagle Plus right now and that's what you want, you can still keep it for $14.99 per month. I sound like a salesman. We don't get any credit for this. I wish we did. But please do continue to support it in that way. This support is going to help NIL purposes and such. And that's going to be all of the traditional content that you're used to at that $14.99 per month. Here are your next, and Austin, this was wild when I saw the levels we go to on this. These are the different content access levels.
I know which one you're in.
I don't think you do. Because if we're talking about amount of money, I got to find that amount of money. So you have Sanford. Yes, I'll get there. Hold on, folks. You have 6 levels counting the basic. That's $14.99 per month to start. Donahue, $24 a month. And I'm not going to go through all the different features that are included with that. You can go find this graphic online, but they include, obviously, as you go up, everything below it as well. Heisman at $34 per month, Thatch at $88 per month, Magnolia at $210 per month, and Sanford, as Austin says I'm in incorrectly, 1,000 smackaroos per month, Austin. If there's anything you want me to talk about amongst each of those levels, I can. Obviously, there are several perks outside of the content.
Right.
What do you think about the changes in that $1,000 tier?
Sure. Well, I mean, that's the tagline, more than content, right? It's now more access, more experiences. I think it's a lot of the press release about it kind of told you what it is. It's merging a lot with what On to Victory was able to do now that more of that's in-house and that kind of thing. So it's just expanding on what War Eagle Plus was, consolidating efforts. And, I'm just reading from the very basic Donahue package, but it looks like you get, not just video content now, but you get certain emails, certain newsletters, certain signed memorabilia or monthly giveaway access, things like that. And as you go up, like you said, you get the benefits below, but you get different autographed items and things like that. So it makes total sense. I don't think this is, like we've said before, this isn't anything reinventing the wheel. Right. It's just athletic departments finding ways to get creative with all the money they're now footing the bill for. And trying to develop more revenue any way they can. So I think plenty of people will enjoy this. I think it's certainly kind of an easier way, or maybe comes across a little cleaner and more transparent on what all you can do to fund the NIL efforts at Auburn. But certainly a good start. It seems like they've got a lot going on as far as, if you look at the War Eagle Plus social media accounts, they've got giveaways and all sorts of things. So lots to going on, and that they're trying to figure out on how to navigate this crazy time.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, folks, everybody feels like they are trying to monetize everything. And that the reality is they are trying to monetize things that make sense. And so you've got to do these things to survive in the world of NIL and things like that, but you're getting things for this. I wasn't aware of this with the basic War Eagle Plus. It's not only just the content, but you get discounted concession pricings at athletic events cool as well. That's included in that $14.99 per month. Again, we're not trying to sell you on it. We get nothing from this. We're just trying to help inform you as the Auburn family what you get for just signing up to help support yourself in terms of content, but also Auburn and NIL. But there are different levels. So for you big old tycoons of industry out there, $1,000 per month, you'll be supporting Auburn Athletics and getting yourself some exclusive access to things that you want. Go check that graphic out so you can fully see what you want. Some of those next levels up may be worth for you for a few extra bucks a month if you're interested in that type of thing for some extra perks on top of it. So that's the changes. I'm sure this won't be the last that we're talking about changes to Auburn, NIL, War Eagle Plus, all of it in this landscape of college athletics. I do want us to do some schedule update stuff, and I love this topic in basketball, and I'm so itching to see the full schedule. This tells me, too, that we're getting close to it if we're talking about exhibition matchups. We've already talked to you previously about one that was going to be in Birmingham for Auburn men's basketball. It's a big one already. Look, gone are the days, I think, Austin, of exhibition matchups being boring and small little things. Auburn and FAU at home last year was cool because they were a recent, obviously, Final Four appearance team, but it's still FAU. You don't get that excited about it. And it was they got a different coach and all that. But you've got not one, but two. This is the second one we're talking about today. Auburn Tiger fans in October can get excited about men's basketball because Thursday, October 30th at State Farm Arena, Atlanta, Georgia, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, Auburn will take on Memphis. This is a good matchup, folks, because not only is this a rematch of the Maui Invitational last year, where we won the Maui Invitational by beating Memphis, this is also technically another rematch and a revenge game for Auburn in Holiday Hoops Giving, at least in not the same event, but the same venue where Memphis put it to us several years ago. I love this, and I don't know. Look, there are plenty of opportunities now for you to come see the Auburn Tigers, home, away, neutral sites, all that stuff. And it's technically not the season yet, but this is one of those first opportunities for you to do it, folks.
Yeah, I really like it. I like that they've covered preseason opportunities in two of their biggest markets with Birmingham and Atlanta.
Yep.
I think it's important. No one's ever going to, shy away that Birmingham and Atlanta are where most of the Auburn people are from or dispersed to or whatever, or their surrounding areas. And so I think it's great. I love that they get that venue for just a preseason game, if nothing else. I'm still expecting Holiday Hoops Giving, to be announced at some point with another marquee matchup for Auburn. And but I think it's great. It's a good test. These are two really good tests for Auburn in the preseason. We're getting more of those preseason matchups that are kind of more marquee and more premier. So I like it. I like to see it. I really wish it wasn't on a Thursday night. I think that is kind of a bummer. But if I remember right, there is a home game that Saturday. I think it's Kentucky. So, maybe you can make your loop over to Atlanta, come in, enjoy Halloween in Auburn on a Friday, and then get your home game on Saturday morning. But it's maybe look here, I'll tie it all together here for you. You ready for this? Maybe you're coming from where Kyle's at in a little area of Georgia near Atlanta. You go to your exhibition here on Thursday night. You make your way down to the Plains for Friday. Friday, you go see Fans Feathers and football or at the Raptor Center. And Halloween.
Go Halloween.
And Saturday, you go trick-or-treating in my neighborhood. And Saturday, you go to the football game. So it could make a nice little weekend.
It could be. It's not a bad idea, Austin. I do love it. So what I'm hearing is that I'm spending Halloween at your house and getting free candy. That's what I'm hearing.
Hey, look, there's tons of kids that come get candy at my house on Halloween. There's more and more every year. I don't know where they're coming from.
To be clear, that candy was for me, not for your kids. But anyway.
Yeah.
In addition to this, as we continue to try to give you reasons to go, not only just see your Auburn Tigers, but the matchup of Auburn and Memphis. This is the second game of a doubleheader for women's basketball to start off. South Carolina and North Carolina. Yes, that South Carolina, Dawn Staley's team will be playing North Carolina right before this one. This is a big thing, folks. In Atlanta, men's and women's basketball, and each of these teams are very good in their own rights in their respective where they play men's and women's basketball. So look, get excited, folks. There's no excuses. Atlanta, Birmingham, home season. Come see the Auburn Tigers. This is just another reason to do that. Auburn versus Memphis and State Farm Arena to kick off the season in many ways. Speaking of kicking off seasons, obviously I talked about I was on campus this weekend for an event that we're about to discuss, but this is the unofficial kickoff. See what I did there?
Sorry,
that was a bad joke. Sorry. Were you going to give me credit for that one?
I was going to let it go, but that's okay.
Auburn soccer and the coach James Armstrong era is unofficially, kind of officially begun because we are in exhibition season for them. People are always forgetting this, that Auburn soccer always is the thing that literally kicks it off every year. And they played Georgia Southern at the Auburn Soccer Complex, aka the Hopper.
I was about to say, where was it, Kyle?
Get to the Hopper.
The Hopper. How was it at the Hopper?
It was at the Hopper. Okay, that's enough. We're ruining it. So it was awesome. Good to be back there. Once again, folks, I know you think a lot of times this year going out in the heat like this, but if you're catching these afternoon games at the Auburn Soccer Complex, you get some really good shade behind you where the stands are, about 5 o'clock on, which is when the game started. So now the players are scorching hot, but they're burning up out there. But anyway, we're fine in the stands. So it was great to be out there.
Such is life at the Hopper.
Such is life at the Hopper. It's hot out on the field, figuratively and literally with
hot
the play.
At the Hopper.
Hot at the Hopper. What are we doing?
I just want them to change it so bad.
I do
just
too.
Do it.
Is it not one of my best ideas ever?
It's got yes. As someone who makes fun of your ideas quite a bit, it is one of the best ideas yet. Yes.
I'm just saying.
It's got to be in the works, right?
It's got to be, and I'm not asking for any royalties or anything.
I'll be there. I'll be there when they cut the rope.
You have commitments from E2C Network staff here that we will be there for the Hopper opening. All right. Anyway, Georgia Southern, Auburn won 2-1. They did get down actually by 1 to start off with. And I was kind of like, ooh, this is an exhibition game. You're cycling in a bunch of people. There were 20-minute periods instead of 2 halves. And so you're really just trying to cycle through. So that was a really cool thing. I'm going to tell you this much because here's a couple of things that stuck out. First of all, Olivia Woodson got the first goal of the season unofficially for Auburn. No shocker there. But I'm going to talk about midfielder Erin Fleury, redshirt senior, and I forget where she came from, but man, she can move. She was juking people out of their shoes left and right at that midfielder position. It was really fun to watch her. And there was a couple times I was just kind of like, oh, like screaming like that, just because it was just wild just to watch her just pull off some ankle breaking moves every single time. So it was good to be out there. Exciting, many more of those events to come because we love Auburn soccer, and I'm excited about the new era of Coach James Armstrong.
And we love the Hopper.
We love the Hopper. We love it. I feel like I killed that name now just because.
No, I love it. I won't ever be able to stop.
All right. Finally, speaking of, once again, this could work too. Kicking things off because horses kick. You see where I'm going? You see what we're doing? Okay. Auburn Equestrian has announced their schedule for the full season. Remember, this is one of those teams that technically we count as a winter sports just because it makes the things easier to categorize them as that with how we space things out sometimes. But they go pretty much the full year with a slight minor delay over the holidays and stuff like that. Maybe I'll try to give as much as I can from the schedule. It's a little bit longer, so I don't want to bore us all with the details, but we are going to do a segment coming up soon where we talk about some of these really good weekends for you, if you're especially going to be here for football or even men's basketball, because they overlap with equestrian as well. Good opportunities for you to go see these ladies and these horses, because they're the athletes too, compete at a championship level facility and championship level program. So this is a good thing here. All right, here's what we got. And always remember, folks, they go to Texas for like a long stint, and that's part of this as well. They're going to kick off the season with Baylor October 4th, and then they're going to host Berry College right after that. Then they're going to go on their Texas tour for October 24th, basically to October 31st. So they will not be here over that big Halloween weekend, as Austin was selling y'all earlier, at Texas A&M, at SMU, at TCU. And then they're going to wrap up with South Carolina and UGA November 8th and November 21st for that fall season. Now, what game is the 21st at Auburn for football? Do you remember off the top of your head? It's not Alabama, obviously. Is it Mercer?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
It'll be Mercer.
No. Yeah, I think that's right.
UGA, folks, is going to be in town for equestrian on that weekend. If we've got our math right there. Y'all need to show up and show out. Followed up with UT Martin in the spring at South Carolina versus SMU at Georgia versus Texas A&M to end the home season. And don't forget this, folks. This is a big thing. This is really when you need to mark your calendars. Auburn will host the SEC championships this year, March 27th to the 28th. And this is a good opportunity for you to show people what this is all about at Auburn, because this is a lot. Everybody's coming to town. Let's show up and show out. Texas A&M, Georgia, and South Carolina will all be here for Auburn to win its next SEC championship. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. That's what I think is happening. I don't know about you. Maybe we can get Austin out there for that
Yeah.
particular thing. It's a long time off, so I won't commit to it yet.
Well, yeah, but it's been a while since I was out there, and the boys would really enjoy it, I think, too. So I've always, even when we were in college and would go out there, it's a very friendly, fun event, and they've always have lots of stuff to do out there. Obviously, look, and if your kids are anything like my kids, horses are a big draw. So I think it'd be worth it.
Yep. And usually they have some demonstration things out there, some horse riding that can occur off to the side. I don't know how that'll be for the SEC championships, but usually for most home meets matches, they do that. And keep in mind, NCEA championships will be April 16th through the 18th. So you got a full year of Auburn equestrian to look forward to. Hope you'll make an effort to come out this year and support the ladies and the horses, because we say War Eagle and War Horses here as well. As a final note. Wow. Well, we're both just aiming for the fences here. Let's see here. Track. He threw me off with that nay. Now I got to find a way to work back in here. Final note here, real quick. We'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention it. Track and field note. Jacoby Tharp, who we've already talked about, who's a finalist for the Bowerman Award, which still hasn't been announced. I think it gets announced in December, if I'm mistaken on that. It's a long time away, but he's a finalist, and that's a big deal, folks. That's like the Heisman of track and field, essentially. He just won gold in the USATF, which is United States Championships of outdoor track and field, 110-meter hurdles. No shock, because he did it obviously at the collegiate level here. His personal best time of 13.01 seconds, and it earns him a spot on Team USA for the World Championships. You shouldn't be shocked, should you? Right? I mean, he's already done it.
It makes sense. He's already done it. It's just the repeat tour.
Just the repeat tour. Tokyo, September, he'll be there, and maybe it's a precursor to him winning the Bowerman Award. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. All right, that's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. Let's get into the main topics today. Last week, we started your preview season for Auburn football with our storylines and questions and everything else on the offensive side of things. And we are going to get into the defense and special teams, hopefully in great detail here today, as much as we have time for. I do want to leave us a space just for a second, though, Austin, acknowledging that Auburn football practice has officially now begun. We were sitting last week waiting for it to officially begin. In the about 5 days, 6 days at this point, maybe by the time people are hearing and seeing the audio podcast of this, what are your thoughts? Do you have anything that has stuck out to you from this first week that's been said, that's been noted, that's been shown from those that are able to attend practice? Anything sticking out to you?
Not a ton. I think it's been pretty status quo, I feel like, for this time of year. I did get a chance to go on Saturday and get to watch practice inside the stadium, and got to see the sights and sounds. And a new video board that looks pretty good. But I think, it came out later, and Coach Free said it himself, so this is nothing really groundbreaking. I was planning on talking about it, thinking I was going to have some good insight. But I did think
Thanks, Coach Freeze.
That's right. I did think Omar Mabson, it was obvious to me, as someone who is not a high-level football analyst or coach, it was obvious to me that he was shining, as Coach Free said, at the running back position. Now, certainly, Jeremiah Cobb and Damari Alston are in yellow non-contact injury jerseys, and so they were limited. But I think I was surprised to see Omar Mabson kind of have the explosiveness he did. That's a guy, a very local kid we've talked about before, who reclassified and is in the running back room. But to me, he looked ready to go, and that kind of part. Now, of course, like I said, I'm no expert on the X's and O's of football by any means, but to see him kind of look the part as someone I don't think anyone's really expecting to contribute this year was encouraging.
Yeah.
And I think that running back room is still, the floor is higher than a lot of people think.
Oh, yeah, I think there's a lot of underestimating going there, and this is another reason for that, because that floor may be a lot higher than people were anticipating. And you acknowledge, obviously, that Jeremiah Cobb is dealing with a fractured finger. Was it a thumb?
Yeah, thumb, I think.
Thumb. So that shouldn't be too bad as far as I understand it in terms of injuries. He should be able to manage that, but obviously you want to be cautious with that. And Darrell's been coming back from some stuff that kept him out of spring. And then, obviously Damari, as we've told you guys last week, should be the lead back, and I think has earned that right to start that way. And if you watched his interview that we provided through the athletic department last week, you can kind of see that he's got a chip on his shoulder and he's ready to show people what he's all about and stand on business, as they say. So I'm excited to see that. But the cool thing about this, Omar Mabson, and I think this is the story of the week that's kind of caught people most off guard, was to hear how much he stuck out to Coach Hugh Freeze, because this is a guy that just reclassified to join this class.
Young guy.
Alvin Henderson's part of this class too. So you'd think, if anything, Alvin would be getting, a little bit extra of the time, and he is, I'm sure. But it's just really encouraging to hear young guy, local kid, Omar Mabson, is getting already some attention from the head coach and shout outs. And I love that. That's a really cool story so early in this fall camp season, that I think probably the most unique thing that's come out in the first week. Anything else, or is there anything we need to address before we get into the meat of stuff here?
We're gonna talk about some other stuff I feel like I saw and got to think about this week. But nothing, we covered a lot of our offense stuff last week.
Yeah.
I just want to bring that Omar spot in, since that was a big talking point this week.
No, I love that.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's jump into defensive stuff. So same thing here. We're going through the different groups, and we'll use maybe questions and storylines. It's just kind of, let's get our feet wet, get acquainted with what's going on the defensive side of the ball. And we're going to start with the front, the defensive ends, and the edge position. Again, some debate there. Are they separate? Are they the same? Is it just one strong side, one's the other? It's different for everybody. Everybody's got a different opinion about it. We're going to talk about it together. I think right there, whether you're talking about edge or defensive end, the two names that pop up right away, Keldrick Falk and Crawford on the other side, who would
Kieran,
be more Kieran Crawford, who would be the more so the buck position, I think is what it's called at Auburn, or the edge type of position. This is a spot that was held down by Jalen McLeod last year. Kieran was there as well. And it looks like, I think, am I stepping outside of my bounds to assume, Austin, that those two ends of the front, essentially for the defensive, are going to be those main two guys?
No, those are the names that are there, and those are the names that are both the ones you think about probably most with the Auburn defense as a whole. Mm-hmm. I think Keldrick Falk, no doubt about it. I think that both of them on the edge, even after losing Jalen McLeod, like you said, gives Auburn a strong presence on the edge rushing. But I also think the names underneath them and the names that will rotate with them are the most kind of prevalent spot of these are the guys that we all have been talking about as far as recruiting since Hugh Freeze and his staff got here. Like, it is now time for those first classes and the talent that's followed them to kind of fill in and be expected to contribute heavily. So it'll be really interesting to see who steps up that are the younger guys. We can count on Keldrick Falk and Kieran Crawford. This is in all likelihood their last Auburn season. And so it will be very interesting to see who is able to lay some groundwork to get playing time, contribute, and then set themselves up to follow in their footsteps.
Most certainly. Let me give you a couple of names at each of those positions. So at the buck or the edge position, you obviously know Kieran. Chris Murray, a senior guy who transferred in, is going to provide a lot of stability over there. But the two young guys that have been around at least for a little bit, Joe Phillips and Jamonta Waller, as redshirt freshmen, are that young talent that's going to have to start getting ready to play, more often. And so we're excited to see them. But I think the two names that most people are intrigued by, and we even heard a couple of them brought up this week. Amaris has been brought up behind Keldrick a lot. That's not a shock there. The storyline of trying to keep him this offseason. Thankfully, we were able to do that. But I think what was interesting was to hear, kind of like with Omar Mabson, so early in camp talk from head coach, was also the name other than Amaris Williams, Jared Smith. Now, big guy, big talent, big get for Auburn in the class. But this early in fall camp, hearing some big things out of him, that's a good thing. Obviously, a lot of talk around him. Does anybody intrigue you outside of the two main guys there, Kieran and Keldrick, specifically?
Well, I think Jared definitely, like you mentioned, he was a big get for Auburn. I think they've already kind of been able to see what he can do and how he can contribute. Amaris is too, especially. Those are both like those guys I just mentioned, big recruits that Auburn had to get for momentum, but also to look to contribute pretty early in their careers. I think Joe Phillips is another one at the Buck side. I think that was one of the first ones. A lot of people were like, okay, Auburn's seriously back trying to recruit the highest talent to go up against Alabama and Georgia and get these guys. I think that him redshirting last year puts him in his second year in a weight program that is ready for college and SEC type of play. And so I think we could see him a lot more. It's got to be very fun for DJ Durkin on how to mix all these cogs together and get all these guys on the field while still having your default, your safe backfall with Keldrick Falk and Kieran Crawford.
Absolutely. Let's go interior on this one now. We just talked about the ends, the actual defensive end, the edge position, but let's talk about defensive tackles right now. And obviously this is a big year for new assistant coach officially entitled Vontrell King-Williams. He's done a great job in recruiting, but he's going to begin now to fully be evaluated as the leader of that interior defensive lineman position. I think obviously the first name we talk about here burst onto the scene as a true freshman, Malik Blockton. I almost said Dunbar. That was like, that's wrong sport, Kyle. Wrong sport. Malik Blockton, Montgomery kid. I'm from Montgomery originally, so I love hearing that those type of stories come out of that. I think he's the first name you think of when you think of the interior defensive lineman, Austin. Am I wrong there? Anybody else that you would immediately call out alongside Malik?
No, I mean, it's Malik Blockton, which is kind of the scary part, right? Not that Malik is not good, but that they lost so much last year in terms of production of guys who had transferred in or have a lot of experience. And so this is kind of the area we talked about it back when it was portal season. When is it not portal season? But back when it was mainly portal season, this was the position Auburn really needed to get some guys with. And so, it's still to be seen how that shakes out. They got, I think, 3 guys. I remember Jay Hardy. That's just because he was here and left and came back. But Malik Blockton is definitely the name you think of the most, but still just a true sophomore. And so, how Auburn manages to get all those guys ready to play that are all really young in terms of production at this level and in the SEC will be a challenge. And I think that could be one of the weakest spots of the position groups we talk about. But one for the most growth as well. So we'll see. I like the idea of a lot of the guys that Auburn has recruited. It's just a matter of will it all shake out the way it's supposed to. I think there's a lot of true freshmen in this class that could contribute and be really good for Auburn. But as we know, true freshmen, sometimes it's hit or miss.
Right. So here's some names for you to know. Malik Blockton, obviously, but some of the older guys as well that are going to be helping us here. Jay Hardy, you mentioned, Zykevious Walker, James Ash, and then brand new Christian Afian. I'm so sorry, Christian. I butchered that one. Sorry. That's a common thing here on this show. He actually came in very late as a freshman, so he's not actually older, but he came in with a little bit of experience, I believe, or from somewhere else, if I'm not mistaken. But the new guys, alongside some of those older guys, Darian Smith, Antonio Coleman, 2 names that probably people are most excited about. And there was some early talk about Malik Autry, Jordan Crawford.
Yes.
I'm going to step out here. Does Malik Autry start on? Is it too early for him alongside Malik Blockton? You still think it's going to be one of these older guys? What do you think?
I'm going to say he doesn't start. I'm going to say he's in the rotation, though.
Okay.
And I think he'll probably avoid a red shirt. I think the other, I'm trying to find the other transfer. There was a Western Kentucky transfer.
That would be Dallas Walker, and I completely glossed over. So my bad, Dallas.
He's one I think could factor in pretty early too. But it's just a matter of I think it's going to be who steps up on each given week, probably among the true freshmen or the redshirt freshmen for Auburn. I certainly think Malik Autry has every chance. I think Jordan Crawford is a really, really good prospect as well. So that one. That might give DJ Durkin some headaches every now and then on trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do. But I like the talent and the potential of this group a lot. It's just on paper, it looks good. How it shakes out on the field, we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that's probably underestimated is probably the word or phrase that we should use here about this group. There's some big names at the top, but it's a little bit of confusing how it's all going to shake out. And certainly we'll know very, very soon. Let's keep moving up into the middle of the defense here. Linebackers. Certainly linebacking has changed a little bit in Auburn, at least as far as defense and just football as well. More often you talk mainly just about 2 rather than 3 linebackers on the field at the same time. Not always the case. More so with that changing of the edge position becoming kind of a linebacker hybrid. That's why that change has been there. So it really comes down to this. There's going to be usually 2 of those guys out there. And here's the question we have this year, Austin. What do? You lost all of that talent, all of that leadership. I mean, we're talking about Austin Keys. We're talking about Eugene Asante, Dorian Mausi, who I think still to this day doesn't get enough credit for what he did at Auburn. He was consistently in the top 1 or 2 of tackles for Auburn last year and deserved more respect than he was given, in my opinion. They're all gone. But the big name, if we want to just start right here, that made his name last year. Common theme here, folks. When we talk about recruiting, it's not just about stars and rankings. It's about players getting on the field early and getting recognition and doing really well. DeMarcus Reddick, he's going to be a true sophomore. And I think right now, he's the guy you look at and go, at linebacker, we're all looking to you, kid. And that's a lot on your shoulders as a true sophomore. Robert Woodyard would also, I think, be the guy that's been here a little bit longer, and people have maybe expectations that this is the year he's going to get to shine as well. That's my proposition for 1 and 2, not necessarily a depth chart, but what do you think about that?
Well, like you said, it's changed so much at the linebacker position on what is in college athletics. You need guys who are a little bit more athletic, who can move, who can cover if they need to, but also lay the hits. And so, whether you're using 3 or 2 in any given formation, I think DeMarcus Riddick's going to be on the field. And like you said, probably in the middle with quarterbacking the defense and everybody looking to him. I agree with you on Robert Woodyard. I think he has experience. He's got probably the most reps out in the entire group and has the idea of what needs to happen on a given play. But similar to defensive line, from then on, it's kind of like there's all this talent. It looks all really good on paper, but how does everybody fit in? You had a couple transfers and that are highly regarded, but still young. And then you've got a couple guys who are coming out of the high school world that, like I said, very highly rated prospects, but how will they put it together on the field? I feel more secure about this group than I do the interior defensive line because you know what you have in Caleb or DeMarcus Riddick. As someone who got a lot of playing time for you and played at a really high level last year. So it'll be fascinating to see how it shakes out. I'm not super worried about it with Riddick and how he can manage these guys. I also really like I wrote it down. What's the LSU player's name? Xavier Atkins.
I was about to head there if you didn't already.
Yeah, just, still very young. So I think we all think a linebacker from LSU. Well, he's played in this league. He has. Still very young. And so I think that him only getting 3 tackles, but seeing a lot of game prep and a lot of game action at LSU in the SEC is big. And hopefully he takes that next step as in a more maybe established role at Auburn.
Yeah, let me add to that as well, because I think, yes, the story is this DeMarcus Riddick and Robert Woodyard's room right now, given some expectations around them, but you got to have some leadership and some experience on there. Xavier Atkins, yes, still young, but he has LSU SEC experience, at least in practicing, maybe some limited game stuff, but that counts for something in my opinion. So he's already gotten a couple nods and a couple mentions in early spring practice. Caleb Wheatland coming out of Maryland, I think as well, is going to be playing a lot of experience too, to kind of help shore up as these young leaders come to make the linebacker room their own. Other names for you to know: Elijah Melendez, who's just a beast of a human if you've ever seen him. Bryce Dees is also a freshman. There's many others as well that we just don't have time to go into, but I really think that's kind of how it shakes out in my mind for linebacker. You probably got DeMarcus and Robert Woodyard as your primary go-to guys, right behind them or right with them even, maybe just because of experience, Xavier Atkins and Caleb Wheatland, and then the other guys after that, however it shakes out. So there's a lot to be excited about with this linebacker room this year.
Is Elijah the one we put up his commit photo when he committed?
Is that what you were smiling about?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute.
Yes. I was trying to go past it, and you're just...
I just couldn't quite remember.
We still got a few more to go through in defense. I'm going to call an audible on us. We're going to save special teams for next week. That way we don't have to panic on time here. We're going to do next defensive back room area, but let's break it down. What do you want? Corners or safeties first? We can go either way. What's your
corners?
Corners. Let's do the corner position. Obviously, when we talk about corners, there are some names there that you know from last year and should be very, very familiar with. Kayin Lee and also Jay Crawford on the other side. They are back, ready to roll. Certainly made some great waves as a true sophomore and a true freshman. And you could make the case that that's their room. I think there's some others that we need to talk about in that regard. But what do you think about the returning of those two? Is it still their room? Where are we at on that?
Yeah, I think it is as we stand today because they've got the tape of playing in an Auburn uniform. I think this room lost a lot in attrition in terms of the portal, whether it be top to bottom. They lost a lot of depth, lost a lot of kind of the makeup of the entire room. So it's young, but they were able to add some guys who are big-time players at other places in the portal. You talked about Rayshawn Pleasant. I think it's Rayon Strader. Strider. So I think,
sorry, we're going to mispronounce things a ton, folks.
That's right. Not Curvier, but Strader. Rayon Strader. I think those are two guys who I think are going to push Crawford and Lee, but in a good way. You don't lose a lot when they drop off in the rotation. And then, like we've been mentioning, it feels like in every group we've got really, really talented freshman guys who are coming in and are going to be trying to make the most of their time too. So this room looks good. To me, I feel like it's one of Auburn's strengths, and they only made sure of that more by adding these two guys in the portal.
Absolutely. Here's some names for you to know. We've already talked about Kayin Lee, Jay Crawford. You brought up Rayon Strader. Donovan Starr is a guy that I think people probably need to pay attention to as a freshman. Also, Blake Woodby, Devin Williams as well. You've got Amon Langanis, who's been here for a while too at that cornerback position. So. There's a lot here. Now that I'm saying it, didn't Devin hurt himself in the offseason, or am I mixing him up with somebody
I think
else?
he was hurt in high school.
Okay.
Like I think he tore an ACL late in high school. Auburn still honored that. Took him, but I don't think he's factoring in super much this year.
Okay, as soon as I said it, I wanted to make sure I clarified that because it felt like I had a little bit of a missed story there. But Donovan Starr, Amon Langanis, Kayin Lee, and Blake Woodby and a few others as well. Those three that we mentioned at the top feel like the best. If you had to pick maybe a fourth besides Jay Crawford, besides Rayon Strader, besides Kayin Lee, who might it be for you if you had to pick?
Rayshawn Pleasant.
Rayshawn Pleasant. That's the one that I forgot to mention too. A lot of hype around him is special teams too.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll be talking about him a lot when it comes time, not just defensively, but special teams as well. So
Agreed.
Exciting group to watch for Auburn defensive back wise, at least for the corners this year. And finally, that brings us to safeties.
This is a fun room right here.
It's a fun room. I think a lot of people got excited about the safeties when it was a spring practice, not just because of who was already there, but because of who was coming in and people who did some great things at that position. I could be convinced, Austin, outside of maybe, I don't want to say that. I want to act like someone's got the leg up over there. Caleb Harris, obviously, I think is got a safety position. Another one of these stories, a true freshman came in, locked it down, and became an all SEC type of player so early. Once again, folks, this is not just one example of this is the true measure of how you recruit, not stars and rankings, but players as young guys coming in, taking over positions and becoming all SEC recognized players.
And sometimes those match up, but not all the time.
Not all the time. But I think people need to understand that next level of what actually good recruiting is, not just this thing that's easy to talk about on social media and things like that. So Caleb Harris is certainly someone that we want to pay attention to here. Austin, I could be convinced it's anybody else's game at a safety for the other safety in this group.
Yeah.
What do you think? Give me some thoughts on this.
Oh, I think it's wide open. I think that you could see a number of guys come in here. I think on paper it could be Jacoby Matthews. He has certainly the most experience at playing this position at a high level and in this conference. He's had a year off, and he's just got here like a couple weeks ago, and so I think that there's a chance there too. But I think you'd be hard pressed to not look at whether it be Tay Seymour from Georgia Tech, a transfer, or Fagans or Eric Winters, guys that were really very highly recruited, and that were, labeled as those kind of day one contributors. I think it's Anquan Fagans. I'm going to pick him to be the other safety spot. But I think there's a whole list of guys you could choose from and will move in and play a lot that are kind of cycle through that rotation. So it's a very fun group. I think it's loaded. And that's a good problem to have for sure.
And I would also say this to folks as well. When people think of safety, you think of strong side, free safety. And yes, that is still the case, but you've got this also specialty group or that kind of fall into this. Champ Anthony being back.
Yeah.
And he kind of had a lockdown on that position before his horrific injury had. It looks good to go. So keep that in mind. Here's some more names for you. I'll kind of run through all the ones that are listed on the roster. We talked about Caleb Harris, Sylvester Smith, Champ Anthony, Kinsley Lador Faustin. I always mispronounce that one. You've also got Fagans, who you mentioned, Jaquez Robinson, Eric Winters, Tay Seymour, and then Jacoby Matthews. I think, honestly, Austin, I am big on SEC experience. If you come in as a transfer with SEC experience, that counts for something major in my book. We know how well we've done of grabbing former Texas A&M people. Certainly he's had some academic things that he's had to work through before he got to come back to this level of college football. But that's a name that sticks out to me. That counts for something, that SEC experience. But really, it would not shock me to see any one of these guys come out of the starting lineup in the safety room. And keep in mind, that includes 3 different positions essentially there.
Agreed.
But if I had to make a case, I'm going to make a prediction. Caleb Harris. I think I'm going to go with you. Jacoby Matthews and Champ Anthony. That's your 3 guys, I think, in that kind of 3.
I'm probably picking Anquan Fagans.
I want to, but I want to be a little bit different.
That's fine.
Okay. That's what I'm going to predict for the safety room. So there you have it. That is our defensive preview of the roster, all that kind of stuff. Things are going to be changed throughout fall practice. We'll cover it as much as we can. With the time that we have left, we got to roll, man. There's been so much going on here. And I warned y'all, and I guess I got to continue to apologize to Austin that these couple of preview shows for football.
Totally fine with me. But I just, people probably get tired of us after so many minutes. And
there's so much to talk about.
There is. It's tons, man.
There's so much to talk about here. Okay. So we have in our main topic, number 2, a big event this week that took place. And I kind of figured we'd only spend potpourri segment talking about this, but a lot happened. And we want to do not just an explanation and fill you in on what we experienced, but a little bit of show and tell. If you know, you know. Yes, I know that's not the quote, folks, but trust me, it works here. So we're talking about the Auburn Athletics Surplus Sale. This is a concept that has been done by other universities at the appropriate times when they have the surplus supply to do something. This is not something that's done every year. This is not something that is very regular. It is a as needed type of situation, but they are a big deal. And I'm going to be honest, Austin, Clint tried to warn me. I did not realize how big a deal this was going to be until I experienced. So what I'd like us to do here, because we do want to show you some things that we got at the surplus sale, but we want to talk about the experience, the good and the bad of it. So let's start with you. What was your experience like, or at least if not, maybe not the good and the bad, but just what did you kind of get into? How early were you there? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I was planning on going like you. I was not prepared for what all it kind of was set up to be like. I should have been. It just was not really something I was expecting to be as busy of an event. That's probably very naive in hindsight now, but just so I mentioned it earlier, but I got to go to the scholarship donor practice viewing with my dad. And so I owe a lot to my dad because we did not know until we got there. But when we showed up, they gave us wristbands to enter at a separate entrance to the surplus sale, with a hefty line, but it was nowhere near the pictures of the other line I saw. So that is quite literally the only way I got in and was able to get some things at that time, or I would have been pretty far back in the main line. So thank you, Dad. But it was crazy. I described it to a lot of different people, and I was not. I saw texts about how long checkout lines are and things later, but so I was not even in the midst of the most of it. But I described it later to people that is the closest I've ever felt to being inside of a kicked over anthill. There were people everywhere.
Yes.
And just like scurrying. And I mean, no one, I never got bumped into. Nobody was ever rude to me.
Yeah.
Like nothing like that. But just like everybody was like hyper focused and like moving around and trying to find like, hey, you got a 34, you got a 32, you got size small. And I'm like, what? And so it was bonkers. Truly.
Yeah. It was a wild experience, a great experience for the most part. And I'm not going to shy away that there probably are some things that could be improved on and things like that.
Sure.
So don't not hear us saying that. But from my experience, I had more of the general experience since you were the privileged one over here. Full disclosure, we were allowed to go in right before they opened, as for our content purposes. And as I promised them, as soon as we got what we needed just to get it before everything was destroyed, I got out of there and got back. Actually didn't get back in line until about over an hour later because I knew it was going to be so crazy. And I was putting content out for you guys, which thank y'all so much for the response. One of our best videos ever, the football frenzy video. I mean, it has gone nuts. The football jersey frenzy video. But yeah, that line was very long. Certainly it looked like the weather was going to help standing out there, but the sun came out and boy, was it toasty out there. But in terms of managing the line out there, I thought it was very good. From what I understand of the very beginning that I saw of everything and the busy part when everybody was in there, it was mostly very well managed. I think there are things that are outside of the control of everybody and all of the plan they can do that can't be accounted for, and you just manage it the best you can. I was really impressed with the amount of material, just the amount of surplus that there was.
Tons.
And it was just wild to go walk through all this Auburn history and see all these different things that I mean, we're going to show. I have something that means so much to me that we're going to show you.
Same. Yeah.
That just, I didn't expect I was going to be able to get. And, so many other things. Some of you got plenty of things that there. I love this. I know this is not going to be in every year. And what I don't want to get lost in, whether you love the way this is handled or not, please don't lose sight of the specialness of this. Your experience may not have been great, but a lot of us had really great experiences and would love for something like this to happen again somewhere off in the future. And I hope that they will do this. This was the first time this was done for Auburn that we know of. And I thought all things considered went off with pretty well.
I mean, I wanted to bring that up too. Like Auburn's been with Under Armour for close to 2 decades. Before that, it was Russell. And, Russell's a very local name. And back in 2005, maybe there was a surplus sale of Russell, but you could go get a lot of Russell if you wanted it too.
Right.
And so, like you said, I'm not privy to any other time this has been done. And I've seen this at other schools. I think that this happens kind of, I'm not saying this is happening for Auburn. Please hear me say this is not good. I do not know this, but I've seen this happen on an annual basis for just what they have that calendar year of surplus sales at other schools. And who knows if that happens again soon. It obviously wouldn't be the same amount of material, but I mean, my goodness, there was tons of stuff. And I was shocked. Like when I left, people were still coming in and there was still tons of items to look through. And so you might not have found exactly what you were looking for, but there was still tons of stuff to look through.
Yeah, right. I think everything was well organized and
the best you can do it, in my opinion.
Best you can do it. And remember, folks, it depends on when you get in there about how organized things will be, because everybody's looking for things. So sometimes your experience is based off of when you got in there, and that's just up to you about how much of an effort you wanted to make to be there. Some people got there at 7 a.m, Clint Richardson, or 8, or whatever it was.
Well, it was unofficially Clint Richardson Day at the Auburn Athletics Complex.
But the kid was literally, can I just say this about Clint, having spent most of the time with him? It was so just fun to watch him. He looks so happy, literally sitting on the floor at one point, just looking at all his treasures. And I was like, dude, I'm so happy for you.
Well, and like how it couldn't have been, we told you that Clint had affiliate links and how great it was that he got the sales through affiliate links to be able to go do this. We joke with Clint a lot, but that is somebody who devotes a lot of time to Auburn uniforms, and this was Disney World.
He's had a big year, man. Just a
big year.
Big year. All right, two final things. I want to talk about some of the negatives, show and tell, that we're going to get out of here. I know we're really late, so let's do this. Some of the negatives that were addressed. First of all, here's one thing that we can actually help you with, folks. This is a negative that I heard. Why wasn't I told about this? Well, first of all, I don't know how you missed the surplus sale announcement. Like everywhere, everyone shared it. But first of all, folks, you know that little thing that we do as content creators that annoys y'all so much? Subscribe or follow, all that stuff. We've been talking about this for you guys for several weeks now. So please, Clint even warned you on the show he was on with me, hit the subscribe button on the podcast. I promise you, it's not just this. I do a somewhat regular series in the middle of the week for quick news catch-ups. I warned you at the middle of the week. If you have not hit the subscribe button on our podcast, the audio one, you are missing out on content. Sorry. We can help you.
I was shocked when I saw in some of the local Facebook pages, like, I didn't even know this was happening. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And it wasn't something that was super, kept to those of us who just live, breathe, and die by it. But there was plenty of publicity around it. And, some 5,000 people who showed up, I think, would attest to that.
Auburn did a great job of getting this out. I don't know how you missed it, but trust me, if you need to be filled in on things like this, just outside of the normal things that everybody talks about in Auburn content, we're your source right here. This is literally the Auburn experience. We're going to give you those types of things. So that's my one pitch that I'm going to make on this show to you. Perfect example of why I sent out so many links for all the podcasts after all the comments. I didn't know about this. We can help you. Anyway, okay. The biggest complaint that we got was people felt it was poorly managed because of the amount of people that came. And let me just say this about this, because I've had a few, I'll call them run-ins with people, and you can disagree or whatever. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but what I do take offense to is when people just make big assumptions that this was so poorly managed or this is poorly managed, as always, by Auburn. Your experience was solely affected by when you came. If you were there early, you could get in and get out, get in line before the line began to snake throughout the entire facility and not have to wait for hours, an hour plus, if you wanted to. That is solely on your responsibility. Auburn and Rhett Hobart and his team had a plan to slowly bring people in. Unfortunately, there was lightning in the area. And so for people's safety, they had to, this is the risk management. I'm applying a little bit of my speculation on this, but the reality of why so many people were allowed in was real. There was lightning in the area. They had to either tell people to leave or let everybody in. They chose to not let people get mad and turn people away and let everybody in. And thus, of course, that made things get very crowded, a little bit more frantic in there. And it affected some people's decisions. Certainly, it led to the frenzy of everything. I thought it was fine outside of that. I thought it was going to get crazier in there. But I just want to continue to encourage people, please be careful about the things that you're publicly saying on social media about the lack of organization. You were so far from the truth, it wasn't even funny. You may not have had a great experience, and I'm sorry about that, but I can promise you this from firsthand knowledge of talking to people that work on the staff and the team. This was a very well done and well thought through thing, and they did the best they could with a first time event that probably won't happen for another decade. Maybe. Anything that you want to address from the negative side or anything like that people had about experience?
I got out before that, before the lightning issues. I didn't plan to stay for a super long time. I know checkout lines got really long. I didn't have an issue with checkout line. I was through it in about 30 minutes. I do know right before I checked out, I remember seeing someone say tap to pay does not work, which is going to cause a little bit of time when you add 5 seconds to every single person. If they're going to tap their credit card, that adds up. And so I think that's another thing you can't do anything about. But, we've already touched on the organization of like actual items. I thought Clint putting it out there that like he never went to Black Friday, but he imagined that's what it was like back in its heyday. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like you can't keep things folded once people just start going through it.
And you can't help other people's behavior. This is kind of like when we talked about the whole mob student scene where people got injured. Yes, there are things that can always be done better by the people that are putting it on, but sometimes it's just the fault. Not just, it is also the fault of the behavior of those that were getting involved in it. Not all of the people were responsible that were in the crowds, but sometimes people behavior. You can't control everybody with that amount of people, and you can do the best out of it you can. Anyway, just wanted to cover that and put it out there.
Let's do this.
All right, let's do the show and tell time. We've gone way too long. I'm going to start us off. These are just a few of the items. Actually, they're all the items that I got from. I think Austin got more as I fall and drop down here. Show and tell at lunch at 10 o'clock at night on my. This is from the Auburn Surplus Sale. Our stuff. This is just a generic Under Armour hat, $10. Awesome. I've been needing just a dry fit, easy hat to use in athletic purposes. Yes, I do athletics, folks. I try to, at least I know it didn't look like it. But I've got some other things that I'm going to use this for as well. But I saw this. It was like the last hat when I got back in there.
Oh, yeah.
An hour after everything started, because once I got the content, I got out of there. That was the only hat that I found.
Big Under Armour logo. That's a good thing to remember it.
Hey, I ain't going to die for me, folks. Under Armour. I'm still going to sport it proudly. All right. What you got? What's your first thing?
It's a quilted jacket. I think it's pretty warm, but I liked it the most because I haven't seen a lot with like the Auburn word mark kind of on it. So I liked it a lot. Hoping to wear this during maybe an Iron Bowl, stay warm.
Austin, can I be honest? That is such a you thing. Like, I don't know. You buy things and I'm like, that's such an Austin thing. I don't mean that in a mean way, but I just look at those.
That's the highest compliment I can receive. So I really liked it, but it's going to keep me warm. I got a good feeling about it. I like the AU and the Under Armour little combo there. So yeah,
it's going to be odd seeing so many Under Armour and Nike logos all amongst the fans in the stadiums this year.
There's going to be a lot of Under Armour this year, folks. If all those people that we saw bought stuff, there's going to be Under Armour.
All right, item number 2 in the show and tell at lunch at 10 o'clock at night. Check these bad boys out. This was like a last minute decision.
Is that
for
for
me.
Your athletic things too?
Oh yes, for the athletic things that I do. But I did get asked to play in the high school alumni game, and thank you. I was the best receiver there. I'm just going to say.
At Macon East?
Well, no, just for the alumni game, not in reality. I was wide receiver 2 my junior year coming in to fall practice, and then forgot how to catch the ball, and then I was pushed back to kicker. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But it's got a little bit of an orange plaid pattern on there on the inside. It's going to go well with what I show last year, but this was I had to grab these. I mean, they're just really cool. What are you doing? Are you laughing at our chat?
I'm giggling at some of your friends.
Yes.
Well, I like them. I like those. You got any idea where what era that's from? Have you checked with our historian boy?
I haven't really looked that far into it. See if there's anything that indicates. No. I mean, they look. I mean, I know that they look pretty new, so I can't be that old, to be honest with you. These things right here.
Here's my next one right here, Kyle. When I heard about this sale, and I saw the prices and they put them out. The only thing I wanted to go get was baseball jerseys. Those puppies were hot commodities, and they were gone within 10 minutes. So I'm standing there where the empty pile of baseball jerseys was, and next thing I know, I'm just standing there like, well, man, I guess that's it. Somebody just throws one down on the table, and I didn't look at it. I just picked it up and ran. So I got me an orange. I believe this is Ben Shore from this year, right-handed pitcher Ben Shore.
Actually, he wore it.
SEC grad. If I've done all my research correctly, and I think I checked with Clint. This is Ben Shore's SEC jersey, orange jersey from this year. And Kyle, I might wear this to Waco.
It's a good look. I like it, and it's a very Austin look too.
It is a very Austin look. So a good orange jersey. It's not too heavy. It fits me better than I thought. Big. I looked at Ben Shore. He's a big dude.
Oh yeah,
a lot bigger than me. So I'm surprised it fits me as well as it does. But yeah, I like it a lot. I was happy to come out of there with a baseball jersey.
I think you just admitted you've got a dad bod now.
I definitely do. And I got twins, so I got a double.
All right, my final thing talking
are
about
both
glory
good for us.
days. This
That's right.
one's right here. Look at this bad boy. I'm gonna even move the
Oh,
mic.
yeah.
I'm gonna move the mic back for a second.
Show us.
Look at this. Look at that bad boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
The old 86, for those of you on the audio thing, it is a full Auburn Under Armour white 86 uniform. Obviously, no nameplate on the back. And this one actually was a clean removal, so there's no way to tell whose it was. I can't remember many 86 outside of Courtney Taylor. I got this one just on a happenstance. Somebody hadn't picked it up. I was like, first of all, it's Courtney Taylor's number. Second of all, it's Kyle Loomis's number from his legendary high school years. And so I have my jersey number in an official game worn Auburn
I like it.
uniform. And it is, I've got ideas for what I'm going to do with this. I've already tried to try it on. I don't fit in it. It's a tight fit. But that might be appearing on screen for stuff that we do here in the background at some point. All right, what do you got for your final one?
I picked up a football jersey as well. My final one, we've talked about our first loves. One of my first loves was Ronnie Brown.
Did you get a 23?
I got a 23, but one of my other first loves was Ontario McCaleb. And for all intents and purposes of research, this is, as far as I can tell, and Clint has told me, with this, given this SEC patch right here and the model of the style, this is likely Ontario McCaleb's 2009, 2010 blue Auburn football jersey. I love this SEC logo right here. Just like you, I was not a part of your football frenzy video. I was not digging through certain ones. It just kind of rose to the top, and I said, "Yep, 23. I'll figure it out later." And so that's what I ended up with. So, like you, I think that I will definitely probably have this not as a worn commodity. It will probably be in a frame somewhere in the boys' room one day. But Ontario McCaleb, look, I had a 23 jersey for a while. I loved Ronnie Brown, Kenny Irons, and Ontario McCaleb kind of back to back there with 23. Every time I wore that jersey, they kept trotting out a good running back. And so I said, I'm going to keep that number. And Omac was one that propelled the Tigers to a title. So I'm pretty sure, I feel pretty confident that I've got one of his game worn jerseys. So I think that's really cool. That was one of the best wins of the day for me.
Well, I know all my stuff pales in comparison to that.
No.
So.
I will say, and we've plugged Clint a lot. This is not the Clint Richardson Experience. That would be quite a podcast in itself.
I'm kidding.
But go look on his website and find out where your stuff is from. If you can get a pretty good idea with all that information Clint has. So that's the only way I found out about this. And I sent him a tweet and said, "Tell me I'm right." And so we'll see.
Of course you're right. You're Austin Scott.
I feel pretty good. Well, duh.
All right, folks, there you go. That's show and tell. That's the surplus sale. We didn't get to cover every angle of it, but that's our experience and some of the things that we got from it. A long episode 136.
Again.
I apologize to Austin. I apologize to you, the audience.
No.
That's, but look, this is some good stuff that we've had to talk about these last couple of weeks. I think next week, hopefully, we'll be able to get back on our normal within an hour for you. But I hope that y'all have enjoyed every stretch of the way. If you want to keep up with me, at Loomis24. On X, follow all the E2C Network stuff as well. Obviously, have a big hand in that. Austin, where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott on X or Instagram. Hope everybody has a great week.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us for episode 136 of the Auburn Experience podcast. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, Mr. Scott, you have the floor to say your goodbyes, last thoughts. I'll stay for just a minute with folks, but anything you want to say before you leave out, you got to go. I know.
No, I'm good. Hope everybody has a great week. I start my school back this week, so
went by fast.
To all the people, oh my gosh, too fast. To all the people out there starting school this week, best of luck. May the odds be ever in your favor. And War Eagle.
I thought you were about to say, "May the force be with you," but
that would have been a good one too.
That would have been a good one. All right, man.
See ya.
All right, that's our good friend and our co-host Austin Scott. Thanks to him for putting up with me for a little bit extended time tonight. Normally, I do stay on here for a longer Q&A time. I will take a few comments and questions for those of you that are watching live. If you'd like to, just get them in very fast here. Let me give you our normal reminders that we do here towards the end of the show. Obviously, Sunday nights, because you're here or you're watching the replay, is the Auburn Experience live podcast recordings. We'll be back next Sunday as well. But your official next scheduled thing that we already have ready to go for you is Auburn Family Night, Wednesday night at 9 Eastern time. live call-in show. Join us. We're going to talk about anything in the Auburn experience. Obviously, we can talk some more about this. Plenty of things to discuss in that realm. And we'll hope that you'll join us at 9 Eastern time on YouTube for Auburn Family Night. Lots of content coming out the rest of the week. We've got our video up from the surplus sale if you want. Plenty of other things. Don't miss out on this content that we're putting out from that, and plenty of other things this week. I do want to acknowledge some of my friends that were in the chat. Thank you guys. I'm guessing that I've got a text that I'm supposed to be looking at when I get done here. Unbeaten Lake said, extremely upset I didn't go down for the jerseys, especially after seeing they sold bowl game jerseys. There were a lot of unique items here. And I think some people were the opposite of me. I talked myself into going mainly to get the content for you guys. And I'm so glad I did, for obviously my purchase, but just the fact that we were able to experience that and show that to you guys. It was quite the day, man. Quite the day. A good, nice little unofficial kickoff to Auburn athletics season with this surplus. And I really, really enjoyed it, and hope we'll get to do it someday again in the future. All right. No extra Q&As here because of the late hour. We're going to call it there, but thank you guys so much for putting us up with us this evening. We appreciate you being here. And as always, spending time being a part of our little family within the Auburn family. Until we talk to you again, War Eagle.